We're joined now by former Vancouver Canuck TSN hockey analyst, Mr. Francesco Antonio Corrado. How are you?
I'm good, boys. What's happening? How we doing?
Oh, my goodness. Blake tells me the scoring chances were 14-6 in the first period last night. But I'm not sure I've ever seen 20 minutes of NHL hockey where the defending was that poor. Like at one point, Ferraro says, Canucks have to stop these cross-seam passes. It's just too easy for San Jose.
Just think about 14-6 is almost one per minute. Right? Like
fair enough.
You know, like that's,
it's a high total, but honestly, I was prepared to see like numbers we had never seen before by those who track chances and high danger chances in the first period. It was that easy for San Jose as they built themselves a 3-1 lead. Frank, we talked about this last week because you went through a rebuild with Toronto. And, I got somebody in my comments, and good on them. They understood when I replied saying, I don't understand why people are surprised by this sort of thing. Like they're in a rebuild, you expect them to lose. But there are red lines, right? Like there are places where it's just unacceptable and somebody has to put a hammer down. No?
Well, you would like to see it happen in a dignified fashion because ultimately there's going to be players here that are still a part of this moving forward. And so not everyone's going out the door, even though the team has, sort of backdoored themselves into a rebuild. So you do want to see some players say, I have some pride in my game. I'm willing to defend. And honestly, that's where like that, care factor really comes into play. It's about how you defend. Like some players are really enthusiastic to score goals. Clearly, this team has a hard time scoring goals. And guys feel more confident and better when they're being productive. But, it's a bit of a revealing season in the sense that like it sucks going to the rink every day, having to unpack that video and see what went wrong. And it's not one thing. It's a bunch of different things, but you can't get to all of them at one time. So you only have to, you only have the ability to pick and choose. There's not a lot of practice time. And then you got to go into every game knowing that as a team and as individuals, we're so unsure of ourselves and it's leading to, catastrophic mistakes and goal after goal and seam pass after seam pass. And you're like, how do you wrap your head around what's going on? But I think it just, I think sometimes it's hard to find purpose in what you're doing with where the Canucks are at.
Basketball coaches, some soccer coaches as well, are apt to say, look, it doesn't take any talent to defend. All it takes is effort. Does it take talent to defend at the NHL level?
No, it takes strength. I always found that to be my biggest, thing that held me back is that, individually, I guess for me, I wasn't that strong. Like I wasn't strong enough to sometimes handle a big, powerful guy when he started turning on me in the corner, or I wasn't strong enough to handle, a 10, 15 second battle in front of the net. Sometimes I would end up like on my knees or on my ass or something. And I was like, I care. I want to do it. I'm just like built like a spaghetti noodle. And I just, there's only a certain limit to how hard I can battle these bigger guys. That was me personally, my experience. So I think, defending and caring, like they kind of do go hand in hand, but if you're strong enough, you can do it. And you should be smart enough. Like these guys are all NHL players. You're smart enough to know that chances are puck filters to the front of the net a lot, right? And chances are Macklin Celebrini, he's going to find pockets of ice near the front of the net. And same with, a guy like Adam Gaudette who scores goals, right? Like, I don't know, like it all just kind of comes there. It's just, can you be strong enough when it gets there?
What about things like lateral agility, change of direction, acceleration? Like, I mean, foot speed is one thing, but if you're chasing down a guy, you've probably already lost. But like the short area bursts and quickness and stuff like that, do you need that in the NHL to defend as well, or can you compensate with positioning?
Well, you can compensate with positioning, but you have to know where you're supposed to be at the right times, right? Like you don't have to be the most agile. You don't have to be the most fleet of foot. But when everyone's on the same page, the guys that are maybe a little more heavy booted, it doesn't look that way because everyone's doing what they're supposed to do and they're doing the right actions. And when it's not that way, you get exposed because it feels like you're on an island having to defend a one-on-one situation. And really, like in the D zone, what it comes down to is, can you kill a play? It's hard to kill a play on your own, right? Like you need help. That's why we always talk about, you need a second support player. You need guys available if you do dig out the puck, or else you're just kind of wasting it. You're wasting your effort. So yeah, you need foot speed, you need agility for sure. You also need a 5-man unit that can kill a play and break out the puck. We're talking pretty elementary kind of big picture things at this point, which is crazy because we weren't talking about that a couple of years ago. We were being pretty nitpicky, and now we're just really, really back to the meat and potatoes and the basics of just NHL hockey.
So that's the micro. That's the micro of what it feels like shift by shift for these players. On the macro, loss. Is there a point? Like, now, to be fair to the Canucks, the St. Louis Blues are coming hard. Like, they are losing like nobody's business right now.
And they haven't even started tearing down, Blake.
No.
It's going to get worse from here for St. Louis.
So
there's still 8 points. There's still 8 points separating the two.
I know. It's not enough. It's not enough. And yet,
it's crazy.
The players have to endure it, though. I mean, it's got to. They know what the MO is, probably. Do they intellectually know that management wants this, do you think, at this point?
How could you not?
Yeah.
I knew that management wanted it when I played in this situation. I'm no dummy. Like, listen, I tried my best because I realized for me, nothing was going to be guaranteed. Like, I kind of needed to show well to
show your best
spot the following year, right? Like, that's sort of what I was playing for. And the wins, it's nice to put on some music after a game every once in a while and don't, not feel like it's a morgue every single day. It's crazy. It really weighs on you, man. And I guess like the big thing is you want guys at this point in the season to be able to find some kind of purpose with it. And I think for Vancouver, that's going to be the case after the deadline, right? Like, guys that can move on and be moved will. And then it turns into, all right, these are the guys that are getting opportunities and are hungry to show well. And then the other guys are like, listen, you're here because next year you're probably going to be here. And you need to be a part of kind of building this thing back up. So scrap whatever was going on pre-March, and now, like, let's screw it on straight and just play hard till the end of the season for yourselves, for the organization, for your teammates, whatever. But this time right now, like late January to the trade deadline, it's going to be a tough stretch for them because you don't have, until the trades happen, you don't have all these people finding that purpose just yet.
We want your thoughts on Demko being lost and where he goes from here. But the fact that he's not coming back to save the day or keep it close, that Lankinen is playing fine, but only fine. And Nikita Tolopilo not yet able to carry too much of a load. Lankinen's being worked to the nub as well. Like, they have nobody to raise the floor, if you will, of how bad it can get anymore. And that's what a good goaltender can do. That's extra daunting for a team in this position, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing now, like, this is the kind of model they need to follow. You trade all the guys you can trade. If someone has a hangnail who's not like a young kid who's trying to make a name for themselves, you're done. You are IR, LTIR. Like that, you're not messing around with these kinds of things. Like, I remember I saw it happen. Little bit of a groin strain. Maybe that's a week to 2 weeks. In other years, it's 4 to 6 weeks. And guess what? Now you're checked out for the season. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's going to have to be a part of the program. But listen, as far as putting yourself in a position to finish last place in the NHL, they've been the best team at it for quite some time.
This is a master class.
Saying something. It is a master class
in losing. Not so much the rebuilding yet, because they still haven't made a ton of trades.
There will come a day
there
will come a day where Patrick Alvin, Jim Rutherford, and Adam Foote stand in front of a theater and instruct this class at a fourth-year university level.
I guess I guess there's a few people in Montreal. You guys know I'm there all the time calling games. I guess there's a few like French media members that know that I'm on with you guys. And like for some reason, they've come up to me recently and said, that's the worst team I've seen in a long time in this league. Like, I'm not even joking. And that's like French media coming up to me randomly just saying that. So I don't know. You guys might be big in Quebec.
Which says a lot because the San Jose Sharks for a couple of years were like 2 years ago. I thought the Sharks might lose 80
team.
games.
Remember that Colorado team of a number of years ago? I mean, truly awful. In fact, Canucks keep losing.
Hey, you guys want to hear something? You want to hear something interesting? So I just looked back at the team that that I was on when we finished in last place. Right, we traded James Reimer that year to San Jose. He had a .918 save percentage when we traded him.
It's too high. Yeah.
Right. And then so we kept Bernier, and Bernier was actually a .908, and Garrett Sparks was an .893. So Sparks played like 17 games basically in the second half of that season. I think it was him and Bernier almost like alternating at that point. Like for a last place team, both goalies like Reimer and Bernier to both be pretty much above 900 like that. Like it must have been pretty bad in front of them.
Yeah. Yeah, yes, exactly. It's a lot of shots. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on here.
Let's stay with the goaltending.
Go ahead.
Let's talk.
Go ahead.
Let's talk
Stay
with
the goaltending.
Let's talk Demko and your reaction to him being lost for the season, and how much confidence would you have if you're the Vancouver Canucks of him continuing on here?
It affirms all your fears about Thatcher Demco and his status moving forward as far as staying healthy. That's really what it does. And if you were thinking maybe you could trick a team into thinking this is the goaltender who's going to take them to the promised land, because he can be so good. Like when he's healthy and when he's on his game, he's incredibly clutch and he's one of the best in the league. But it feels like now that's not the conversation that we're having anymore. The conversation is, can he stay healthy for a prolonged period of time? And maybe, with the season that they're having, there really is no point in him playing through anything. So get whatever you need to get health-wise done, and it's not the end of the road, and you'll figure it out from there, hopefully, and hopefully that entails staying healthy. But it adds more to the buyer beware with Demko. And now if you want to attach a value to him, externally around the league, for however much time he spent hurt here, he's going to have to spend a significant amount of time just being healthy. Like his game will be fine if he's healthy, but that's going to be the big thing that proves to people that it's worth giving up significant assets for. So it's unfortunate, but he's injury riddled and still is.
We've talked of Evander Kane trade before, so let me bring a new name to the chat. Tyler Myers sort of opened the door a crevice last week to waiving his no-move clause when he talked about, he does understand at 35 years old there's only so much runway left, and he has thought about, the ability to get back to the Stanley Cup playoffs and chase a cup. Right shot defenseman or right shot defenseman? What does Tyler Myers do well? What are the red flags there, and what do you think he's worth to a playoff team?
You have to keep in mind that if he's going to a playoff team and a team that, has aspirations of winning, you're not asking too much from him. You're probably slotting him pretty perfectly because you have a good base of defensemen already. So he's going to be a complementary piece for your team. So you're not asking him for power play time. You're probably not asking him for massive matchups and huge minutes, but you probably are wanting him to kill penalties and use his reach and just be like a good version of Tyler Myers, where you're not asking for hero mode, right? Like something that's well within his grasp. Can he move the puck decently well? Sure. Can he defend? Sure. It's hard sort of making an evaluation on players on Vancouver this year because of how poorly the group has just played as a whole. Like it really drags down what individuals look like. But I think that's the big thing with Myers, is that it's a digestible cap hit for a team that will likely use him on a third pair penalty kill role. And he would probably do pretty well with that, especially given like a new lease on life and having a chance to win, depending on where the opportunity comes up.
Shane Wright is available in Seattle. Tell me what you think of this player. He's having a poor year, of that there is no doubt, but still quite young and still a lot of pedigree with as a right shot centerman. Tell me what's your forecast for him going forward, and how attracted would you be if you're the Canucks in a rebuild with a young centerman like this?
It would be worth taking I don't want to call it a flyer because the guy was a really high pick, but it would be worth at least seeing what it's going to cost to acquire a player like Shane Wright. I thought he really had a nice season last year. Like I thought that was going to be the starting point to him kind of learning the league and starting to lay down a foundation for what he's going to be in the league. He had some success on the power play. He had 7 power play goals last season. He was a plus player on a team that was not very good in a lot of different ways. And it felt like his confidence was growing. For me, Shane Wright has always been, it's never been about foot speed. It's never been about super elite playmaking ability or even a lethal shot. It's always been about, like, right up here. Like, how smart are you and how do you think your way around the game? The problem is if you're not feeling it, or it's not going well, or you lose yourself a little bit, you don't have the elite feet or the super slick puck moving or the elite shot to really fall back on. So this is the motor that drives him. But I think he's a smart player, and for a lot of different reasons. Like he was in that weird COVID prospect development path where they weren't playing many games in the OHL, and then they didn't want to send him back, so they did the old, hey, we'll play you for a bit, do the conditioning stint, do the World Juniors. Like it was a real kind of curved road of development for him, and I think now we're kind of seeing the after effects of that. But he's going to have work to do as well. He hasn't been productive on the power play. His ice time has gone down. Like it's not like, they haven't completely, done him all foul. Like he's got to do some of it himself here. But I think he's worth at least taking a look to see what it's going to cost, especially if it's a flyer kind of deal.
Yeah, it's going to be higher price than you want.
Well, they're looking for a first line winger,
and he's not a certified top 6, right? Like I think he's got a high floor as being a third liner, but without being a certified top 6, boy, the high price is hard to
But
do.
if he's
I think it's still a maybe. It's not a sure thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if he is a upper echelon 3C, who can masquerade as a 2C if you have injuries to your top 2 guys, that's still a very valuable piece, right?
It is, yep.
Particularly if he's close to being an all situations player, like probably second power play unit, penalty killer, protecting the lead, and all that jazz. So, right shot centers with his pedigree and some of the athletic attributes he has. That's an attractive player, I think, for a team in the Canucks.
Well, especially for
orbit.
Vancouver. What do you have to lose if you're Vancouver?
That's it.
It's not like you have a ton of center depth. That's the kind of flyer that you need to take if you're them.
Centers, and more centers. Like that's one of the things that they need to be looking at here. And especially if their top draft pick is going to be one of these wingers, Blake. Like, we used to ask the question, where are the defensemen coming from? I think one of the questions going forward is, where are the centers coming from? Okay, last one from...
It's just a small detail, but like a right shot center playing with, whether it's McKenna or Stenberg, righty, lefty, he'll always look to the left side. I don't know. Maybe I overblow that, but it's something.
Yep. Last question from me here, Frank. And as you know, you do your utmost to avoid the phrase Toronto Maple Leafs on any kind of Vancouver sports talk presentation, but I'm breaking my rule today because if there's one thing that this market likes as much as Canucks wins, it's Leafs losses. And that's 5 in a row, and that's 7 of 8. And the head coach looks like he was in a wrestling match with a grizzly bear. And I have to ask the question, because I saw a lot of Leafs commentators saying this last night on Twitter. Are we going to see another team attempt to tank the rest of the way here? Like, are we going to have the two teams in the two largest English-speaking markets on tank jobs for the rest of the NHL season?
They should be. Have you watched them play?
No.
Like, there's nothing.
Categorically not.
There's nothing inspiring about the way they've played this season. They had a run of 8-0-2 where it was like they gave fans a little bit of hope that they could turn this thing around, and then they followed it up with a homestand where they went 0-4-1, and they got dummied over the last 3 games of that homestand. Like, barely touched the puck, not even in the game. So the answer for Toronto is they need to trade anyone they possibly can this year because they're not going anywhere. And I'm not talking about trading Matthews or Nylander. I'm talking about you have nothing in the cupboard other than Easton Cowan and Ben Danford. So what you need to do is try and accumulate something, picks, prospects, whatever you can do. So, here's guys that you can trade. Max Domi, Matthias Michelli, like Calle Yarncroke, Scott Lawton, Bobby McMahon is an absolute must trade this season. See if there's a team that finds value in Troy Stetcher. He's been really good since going there. Like, Troy Stetcher's been the best story for Toronto all season
600
long.
NHL games. Attaboy, Troy from Richmond.
Good for him. Good. Like, he has done incredibly well going over there. And what's funny? He was, when he got there, he made a comment that he was out of the fire in Edmonton. And now, poor Troy, Edmonton's playing gangbusters, and he goes to Toronto, and the fire's burning like full steam ahead, unfortunately. And it's nothing to do with him. He's been really good since going there. But this is it for Toronto. Like, they call it whatever you want, but I don't think it's a full-fledged rebuild at this point. But they got to figure that they're going nowhere this year, and it's time to do what Boston did last year. Recognize where you're at and get ready for next year and try and see what you can accumulate along the way.
Yeah, and I think the Canucks are going to have some competition here in terms of the sellers going forward. It's not just going to be the basement teams. I think you're also going to have some teams starting to have very honest discussions about who they are and who they are not.
Hey,
prior to March
Nathan
6th.
McKinnon was a part of that Colorado team that you referenced earlier that had 48 points. They bounced down for that 1 year. Mm-hmm. They get a guy named Cale Makar.
Yep.
And the rest is history, right? So, if you just dip your toe down there, you can do what the Avalanche went from 112 points in 13-14 down to 48 in 16-17, back to 95 in 17-18. I mean, you can do this.
But we've been talking about the East being the East isn't so bunched anymore. Toronto and Philly are 8 points back of a playoff spot. Jersey is 9. Columbus and Ottawa are 10. So I think you're going to see more. That seller's market, I think, is finite here.
Now, I'll say 2 things on that. 2 things on that on the way out in Toronto. It's negligent if they do anything except sell off pieces at this point. Completely negligent. And they have to make a decision that they have to be really bad the rest of the year because Boston owns their first-round pick, but it's top 5 protected. So if they mess around and they get the 6th pick, Boston's making that pick.
Wow.
That's right.
As well as Boston having Alex Steeves and Fraser Minton, who are having great seasons. Like, Toronto better be really bad the rest of the way if they're going to do this thing.
Yep. And, of course, that would be the second time in recent memory where the Bruins are picking a top 10 with a Leafs pick. They got Tyler Seguin, right? With the Leafs pick from
for the Leafs to guarantee that, they need to be the 3rd worst team in the NHL.
Yep.
And then they are guaranteed top 5. So they have work to do.
Yeah, but Berube, especially with the condition he's in right now, would make a good tank commander. Looks the part.
Well,
yeah, he does.
Like you said, they have to be the 3rd worst team. There's games that they've played where they've been the 3rd best team in the game. So I think that's well within their grasp.
Hey, buddy.
Beauty.
You,
Thank
boys.
you, Frank.